The autumn rain had just stopped when Marcus Wellington stepped out of his upscale restaurant and he heard, "Excuse me, sir, would you like to buy a flower? They're only $2. At 35 years old and worth millions, Marcus didn't expect that a small voice in the darkness would change his life forever. There stood Emma Rodriguez, just 7 years old, with broken glasses and hands blue from cold, holding wilted flowers as if they were treasures. He had no idea that this little girl carried a secret that would connect them in an impossible way. When he discovered who her mother was, the past and present collided in a way that left both of them in total shock. If you believe in the power of destiny's encounters, this story will give you chills. Subscribe to the channel and ring the bell so you don't miss this emotional journey. Tell us in the comments, have you ever had an encounter that changed your life? Let's begin. Excuse me, sir? The girl's voice was soft, hopeful. Would you like to buy a flower? They're only $2. Marcus looked at the sad bouquet. Flowers that had seen better days, probably rescued from a dumpster behind a flower shop, but her eyes held so much hope, so much innocence. What's your name, sweetheart? Marcus asked, crouching down to her level. Emma Rodriguez, sir. She nervously pushed her glasses up. At that moment, the rich aroma of garlic and herbs wafted from his restaurant's kitchen. Emma's stomach rumbled loudly in the night's silence. Her cheeks flushed red with shame, and tears began to form in her brown eyes. "I'm sorry, sir," she whispered, her voice breaking. "My tummy made noise because the food smelled so good." She looked toward the golden warm windows of the restaurant. "But I know I can't go in there. They don't let people like me inside." Marcus felt his heart tighten. "People like you?" Emma's tears overflowed. "Poor people, sir. I heard the fancy man at the door tell another child yesterday. He said only rich people can eat here." She wiped her nose with her sleeve. "I'm poor, so they won't let me in." The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. This innocent child sitting in the cold selling wilted flowers just to survive believed she wasn't worthy of warmth and food simply because she was poor. Marcus stood up, his jaw stiffening with determination. "Emma Rodriguez," he said firmly, "I own this restaurant and I'm inviting you inside right now. You can eat here whenever you want. Always." Emma's eyes widened in disbelief. "Really, sir? Even though I'm poor? Especially because you're brave, kind, and deserve it." Marcus extended his hand. "Come on, let's get you fed." Day. When Emma's small, cold hand slipped into his, Marcus had no idea that this simple act of kindness would change his life forever. Tomorrow would bring a shock that would turn his world completely upside down. Marcus led Emma through the polished glass doors of Wellington's, ignoring the surprised looks from his impeccably dressed staff. The little girl's eyes widened as she saw the crystal chandeliers, white tablecloths, and gleaming silverware. "Mr. Wellington!" Cassandra Mitchell, his restaurant manager, approached with a confused expression. "Is everything all right?" "Everything is perfect, Cassandra." Marcus guided Emma to his private table in the corner, reserved for VIP guests and business meetings. "This is Emma Rodriguez, and she's our special guest tonight." Emma sat on the edge of the velvet chair, afraid to touch anything. Marcus noticed her nervousness and smiled warmly. "Emma, what's your favorite food?" I don't know, sir," she whispered. "Mom and I usually just eat rice and beans, sometimes bread if we're lucky." Marcus's heart ached. He signaled to Chef Thomas, who approached quickly. "Prepare our best children's meal," Marcus instructed. "Chicken nuggets, mashed potatoes, vegetables, and chocolate cake for dessert. Make it special." While they waited, Emma told Marcus about her life in hesitant phrases. She lived far away with her mom, who worked cleaning offices at night. They sold flowers during the day to buy food. She had never been inside a restaurant before. When the food arrived, Emma stared at the beautifully plated meal in wonder. "This is for me?" she asked incredulously. "All for you," Marcus confirmed. Emma ate slowly, savoring each bite. Between mouthfuls, she talked about her favorite subject at school, reading, and how she dreamed of having her own book someday. "You're very smart, Emma," Marcus observed, genuinely impressed by her vocabulary and manners despite her circumstances. After dinner, Marcus walked Emma to the door and handed her a crisp $50 bill. "For you and your mum," he said. Emma's eyes filled with tears. "Mr. Marcus, you're the nicest person I've ever met. Mom says angels don't have wings sometimes, they just have kind hearts." Marcus felt an unfamiliar warmth spread through his chest. "Emma, I want you to remember something important. You can come here whenever you're hungry. Day or night, just ask for me." "Really?" Emma pressed the money against her chest. "I promise. This place is mine too now." As Emma prepared to leave, she turned back with a shy smile. "Mr. Marcus, tomorrow I want to bring someone special to meet you. Can I?" "Of course. Who would you like to bring?" "My mom. I want her to meet the angel who took care of me tonight." Marcus watched Emma disappear into the darkness of the night, her small figure briefly illuminated by the streetlights. He had no idea that tomorrow's meeting would shatter everything he thought he knew about his life. That night, Marcus sat alone in his penthouse apartment, 30 floors above the city lights. The place was a testament to his success. Marble floors, floor-to-ceiling windows, designer furniture worth more than most people's cars. But tonight, it felt like a beautiful prison. He couldn't get Emma's image out of his mind. Her small hands holding wilted flowers, her ashamed tears when her stomach rumbled, her innocent belief that she wasn't worthy of warmth and food. It stirred something deep within him, something he had buried under years of business and corporate climbing. Marcus walked to his home office, where a framed photo sat on his mahogany desk. His mother, Isabella Wellington, smiled back at him, a woman who had cleaned houses and worked double shifts at a restaurant just to keep food on the table. She died 5 years ago, never living to see his massive success. "What would you think of me now, Mom?" he whispered to the photograph. Isabella had raised him alone after his father abandoned them when Marcus was 8. She had worked until her fingers hurt so he could have school supplies and decent clothes. He remembered her coming home exhausted, her hands cracked from cleaning chemicals, but she still helped him with homework and told stories about princes who saved people in need. "You're going to be someone special, Marcus," she used to say. "But don't forget where you came from. Success means nothing if you can't lift others up with you." Somewhere along the way, he had forgotten that lesson. He had become so focused on building his empire that he had stopped seeing the people around him. His restaurants served the wealthy elite, while children like Emma sat outside hungry and unwelcome. Marcus poured a glass of expensive whiskey but didn't drink it. Instead, he stared at the city, thinking about all the Emmas out there, invisible children struggling while he counted profits. His phone buzzed with text messages from colleagues about tomorrow's board meeting, from women asking for dinner dates, from investors discussing new ventures. But none of it mattered anymore. The only person he wanted to see tomorrow was a 7-year-old girl with broken glasses and a heart full of hope. He made a mental note to call his lawyer in the morning. He wanted to establish a fund for families like Emma's, something his mother would be proud of, something that made his success meaningful beyond bank accounts and property portfolios. When he finally went to bed, Marcus felt a strange anticipation for tomorrow that had nothing to do with business. He wanted to meet Emma's mother, this woman who had raised such a remarkable little girl despite impossible circumstances. He had no idea that tomorrow would bring not just a meeting, but a collision with his own past that would change everything he thought he knew about destiny, love, and second chances. The lonely millionaire fell asleep thinking about angels without wings and little girls who deserve the world. The next evening, Marcus arrived at Wellington's an hour early, his heart beating with inexplicable anticipation. He had spent the entire day distracted, checking his phone every few minutes, wondering when Emma would arrive. He had instructed Cassandra to reserve his private table and even asked the chef to prepare extra portions. Exactly at 6 p.m., the restaurant's front door chimed. Marcus looked up from his papers, expecting to see Emma's small figure, but instead saw her walking hand in hand with a woman whose silhouette made his breath catch in his throat. As they approached through the dining room, Marcus stood from his chair, his heart beating so loudly he could hear it in his ears. The woman lifted her head, and time stopped completely. Sarah. The name escaped his lips like a prayer, like a wound reopening. After 15 years. Sarah Rodriguez froze mid-step, her dark eyes locking onto his in shock. She was thinner than he remembered, worn by life's struggles, but unmistakably the girl who had owned his heart in high school. Her black hair was longer now, pulled back in a simple ponytail, and fine lines around her eyes spoke of hardships he could only imagine. "Marcus," she whispered, her voice trembling. Emma looked between the two adults, confused by their strange reaction. "Mom, this is Mr. Marcus, the nice man I told you about, the one who let me eat here and gave us money." Neither adult responded. They stood frozen, staring at each other across 15 years of separation, lost love, and paths not taken. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. I didn't know." Emma said, "A nice man," but she never said. She pressed her hand to her mouth, overcome with emotion. Marcus stepped forward, his voice barely above a whisper. "Sarah Martinez. After all these years. Rodriguez now," she corrected softly. "Sarah Rodriguez." Emma tugged at her mother's worn coat. "Mom, can we sit down? Mr. Marcus said I could eat here whenever I wanted. Can you eat here too, please?" The innocent question broke the spell. Marcus immediately gestured to his table. "Of course, please, both of you sit." As they settled into the soft chairs, Emma chattering excitedly about the menu, Marcus and Sarah exchanged glances loaded with unspoken history. Marcus noticed Sarah's hands, once soft and artistic, now rough from hard work. She noticed his expensive suit, his confident posture. The boy she had loved had become everything he dreamed of becoming. "You look well, Marcus," Sarah said quietly, while Emma studied the menu. "Successful, I'm proud of you." "Sarah, Marcus began, then stopped. There were too many questions, too many years, too much pain and joy colliding in this moment. Emma suddenly looked up with concern. "Mom, why are you crying? Did I do something wrong bringing you here?" Sarah quickly wiped her eyes and forced a smile. "No, sweetheart. These are happy tears. Mom just hasn't seen Mr. Marcus in a very, very long time." As they ordered dinner, the weight of their shared past hung in the air. But beneath the shock and confusion, something else stirred. The ghost of a love that had never really died, complicated now by a beautiful little girl who had brought them together again. Midway through the meal, Sarah's phone buzzed. She checked it and quickly paled, standing up. "We have to go," she said urgently. "Emma, finish your food quickly." "But Mom, now!" Emma protested. Marcus saw fear flash across Sarah's face and stood as well. "Sarah, what's wrong?" But she was already gathering their things, leaving Marcus with 1,000 questions and the overwhelming realization that finding Sarah again might mean losing her just as quickly. 3 days passed before Sarah and Emma returned to Wellington's. Marcus had barely slept, replaying every moment of their reunion, wondering what had frightened Sarah so suddenly that night. When he finally saw them enter through the door, relief flooded his body. This time Sarah seemed calmer but cautious. Emma immediately ran to Marcus with a drawing she had made, a picture of the three of them standing in front of the restaurant, all smiling. "I drew our family dinner," Emma announced proudly. Sarah's cheeks flushed red. "Emma dear, we talked about this. Mr. Marcus is just being kind." "It's beautiful, Emma," Marcus said, accepting the drawing. "May I keep it?" While Emma settled at their table with a coloring book Marcus had bought for her, he and Sarah began the delicate process of catching up over 15 years of separation. "I tried to find you," Sarah said quietly, stirring her coffee. "When you went to Stanford, I wrote letters. I called, but your roommate said you were too busy with school and internships." Marcus felt a stab of regret. "I was building my future. I thought you would wait or follow me or—" He stopped. "I was young and stupid." Sarah nodded sadly. "We both were. When I didn't hear from you after graduation, I met Diego Martinez at my job. He was charming at first, persistent. I was alone and hurt. And when I got pregnant with Emma," she gestured helplessly. "You married him?" Marcus finished. I thought I was doing the right thing. Diego seemed stable, responsible. But after Emma was born, he changed completely. Sarah's voice dropped to a whisper. He started drinking, staying out all night, getting involved with the wrong people. Emma looked up from her coloring. Mom, are you talking about my dad? The one who went away? Sarah forced a smile. Just grown-up talk, sweetheart. Keep coloring your pretty flowers. Marcus leaned forward. Where is he now? Sarah's hands trembled slightly. We've been separated for 2 years. I took Emma and we moved far away. He doesn't know where we are, and I want to keep it that way. Sarah, if he's dangerous, he's not in our lives anymore, she said firmly. But Marcus caught the fear in her eyes. Emma and I are fine now. We take care of each other. But Marcus noticed how Sarah constantly checked her phone, how she chose seats facing the door, how she flinched at sudden noises. There was more to this story, darker truths she wasn't ready to share. As the evening progressed, they talked about happier memories, high school dances, shared dreams, the plans they once made together. Emma fell asleep against Sarah's shoulder, clutching her crayon. She's beautiful, Marcus said. You've done an incredible job with her. She's my whole world, Sarah whispered, stroking Emma's hair. Everything I do is for her. When Marcus offered to drive them home, Sarah politely declined. We take the bus, we're used to it. But as he watched them disappear into the night, Marcus knew Sarah was hiding something bigger, something that made her look over her shoulder and hurry Emma away whenever her phone buzzed. He was determined to find out what it was. Over the next 2 weeks, Marcus transformed Wellingtons in ways that surprised everyone. He created a small area in the corner near his private table with children's books, coloring materials, and comfortable cushions. The staff, initially puzzled by their boss's sudden interest in a poor woman and her daughter, soon became fond of Emma's cheerful presence and Sarah's quiet grace. Marcus began organizing his evenings around their visits. He would arrive early, cancel his usual business dinners, and wait for the moment when Emma would burst through the door, followed by Sarah's cautious but increasingly warm smile. During these visits, he and Sarah slowly rebuilt the connection they once shared. They talked about everything except the one subject that made Sarah's eyes cloud over, her marriage to Diego and their current circumstances. Do you remember when we used to dream about opening a restaurant together? Sarah asked one evening, watching Emma organize her crayons by color. Marcus smiled. You wanted to serve authentic Mexican food, and I wanted to create elegant presentations. We thought we'd revolutionize dining. Instead, you revolutionized it without me, Sarah said without bitterness. I'm proud of what you've built, Marcus. Really. Sometimes it feels empty, he admitted. Success without someone to share it with. It's just numbers on a bank statement. Sarah looked up from her hands. You never married? I came close a few times, but no. No one was ever. He met her eyes. No one was ever you. The admission hung between them. 15 years of what-ifs, crystallizing into something real and present. Emma, oblivious to the adult tension, climbed into Marcus's lap with her latest drawing. Look, Mr. Marcus, I drew you teaching me to read like you did yesterday. Marcus's heart swelled. He had been helping Emma with her homework, discovering she was incredibly bright but lacked proper resources. You're getting so good at writing, Emma. Soon you'll be reading chapter books. Will you still help me when I'm bigger? Emma asked seriously. As long as you want me to, Marcus promised, not noticing how those words affected Sarah. Later, as they prepared to leave, Sarah hesitated while Emma ran to the bathroom. Marcus, I need to tell you something, she began, but stopped when her phone buzzed. She checked it and her face went colorless. What is it? Marcus asked. Nothing, just we should go. But her hands were shaking as she gathered Emma's things. Sarah, talk to me, whatever's wrong. You don't understand, she whispered urgently. Some things can't be fixed with money or kindness. Some people don't go away just because you want them to. Before Marcus could respond, Emma returned and Sarah was back to her controlled, careful demeanor. But as they left that night, Marcus noticed Sarah kept looking over her shoulder and held Emma's hand tighter than usual. The next night, When Sarah entered Wellington's, Marcus immediately saw what she tried to hide with makeup, a purple bruise along her left cheek and a small cut on her lip. Emma ran ahead to their table, chattering about her day at school, unaware of Marcus's sharp intake of breath as he stared at Sarah's face. "Don't," Sarah whispered before he could speak. Not in front of Emma, but Marcus had seen enough. The fearful phone checks, the sudden departures, the bruises. It all made terrible sense now. Diego Martinez wasn't just an ex-husband from Sarah's past. He was still very much a threat in her present. After Emma fell asleep on the cushions in the restaurant's corner, exhausted from a long day at school, Marcus gently led Sarah to a private table in the back of Wellington's. The bruise on her cheek looked worse under the soft lighting, and the cut on her lip had reopened slightly. "Tell me," Marcus said quietly, his voice controlled but his hands clenched into fists. "Tell me who did this to you." Sarah touched her cheek self-consciously. "It's complicated, Marcus. You wouldn't understand. Try me." Sarah took a deep, shaky breath. "Diego found us 2 weeks ago. I don't know how, but he tracked us down." Her voice cracked. "We've been running for 2 years, Marcus. Moving from city to city, never staying anywhere long enough to get comfortable. I thought we were finally safe here." Marcus felt anger rising in his chest. "He hit you. He's angry because I took Emma away. Says I have no right to keep his daughter from him. But Marcus," Sarah's eyes filled with tears, "he never wanted her when she was a baby, called her a burden, a mistake. Now suddenly he wants custody. What does he really want?" Sarah wiped her eyes. "Money. He's in debt to some very dangerous people. He thinks because Emma sells flowers near expensive restaurants, we must have money hidden somewhere. When I couldn't give him what he wanted, She gestured to her face. Marcus stood abruptly, pacing behind the table. "This ends now. I'm calling the police." "Oh, no. Sarah grabbed his arm. "You don't understand. Diego has connections, friends in the system. He's been in and out of jail for years, but always finds ways around the law. If we involve the police, he'll convince them that I'm an unfit mother, that I kidnapped Emma. Then what's your plan? Keep running forever? Let him terrorize you whenever he wants?" Sarah sank into her seat. "I've been saving money to disappear again. Maybe go to another state, change our names." "Screw that." Marcus sat back down, taking her hands in his. "Sarah, I won't let you run anymore. I have resources, security, lawyers. I can protect both of you. I can't accept charity, Marcus. I won't be some rich man's pity project." Marcus's voice softened. "Look at me." When she met his eyes, he continued, "This isn't charity. This isn't pity. I love you, Sarah. I loved you 15 years ago, and I love you now. I love Emma like she's already my daughter. Let me protect my family." Sarah stared at him, tears flowing freely now. "Family? If you'll have me, if you'll let me be part of this." From across the restaurant, Emma stirred on her cushions and called out sleepily, "Mom, Mr. Marcus, why are you sitting so far away?" Sarah quickly wiped her eyes and forced a smile. "We're coming, sweetheart." As they walked back to Emma, Sarah whispered to Marcus, "If I say yes, if I let you help us, Diego won't just disappear. He'll become more dangerous." Marcus put his arm around her protectively. "Then we'll be ready for him." But neither of them knew that Diego had already discovered where Sarah worked, where Emma went to school, and most dangerously, who Marcus Wellington was. The predator was closing in, and the next move would be his. If you've ever been in a situation where you felt excluded or rejected, leave a comment telling your experience. Let's create a chain of empathy here in the comments. Within 72 hours, Marcus had completely transformed Sarah and Emma's world. He moved them to a secure apartment building across town, one with a doorman, security cameras, and controlled access. The 2-bedroom unit was furnished with everything they needed. Emma's own room painted in soft lavender, with shelves full of new storybooks, a kitchen stocked with food, and most importantly, safety. Sarah initially resisted Marcus's level of generosity, her pride warring with her desperate need to protect Emma. "This is too much," she protested, as Emma ran through the apartment in wonder, touching everything as if she were in a fairy tale. It's not enough, Marcus replied firmly. Not after what you've been through. That same week, Marcus offered Sarah a position as administrative coordinator at his corporate headquarters. You were always brilliant with organization and people, he said. I saw your high school grades. This isn't charity. I need someone I can trust. Sarah hesitated. I haven't worked in an office in years. I've been cleaning buildings, waiting tables, anything that paid daily cash. If you need training, we'll provide it. Meanwhile, Emma thrived in ways that simultaneously broke and healed Sarah's heart. Marcus enrolled her at Riverside Elementary, a prestigious private school where she could receive the education she deserved. He bought her new clothes, a proper backpack, and most precious of all, a pair of glasses that actually fit her face. Look, Mom, Emma spun in her new school uniform. I look like a real student. You were always a real student, sweetheart, Sarah whispered, but she understood what Emma meant. For the first time, her daughter looked like she belonged. Evenings became magical in their new routine. Marcus would arrive after work with food from Wellington's, always something different for Emma to try. They would dine together at the small dining table, Emma chattering about her day, while Sarah and Marcus exchanged glances of wonder at how naturally they had become a family. Marcus taught Emma to play chess on weekends, while Sarah attended online courses to complete her interrupted education. He was patient with Emma's questions, celebrating every small victory, never showing frustration when she forgot the rules. Mr. Marcus, Emma said one Saturday, studying the chessboard intently, are you going to marry my mom? Marcus nearly choked on his coffee while Sarah froze, her laptop balanced on her knees. Would you like that? Marcus asked carefully. Emma nodded seriously. Then you'd be my real dad, right? Not like the other dad who made Mom cry. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. I want a dad who brings us food and teaches me games and doesn't scare us, Emma continued matter-of-factly. You're nice like that, Mr. Marcus. Marcus looked across the room to Sarah, seeing his own feelings reflected in her expression. They were falling in love again, but this time it was deeper, built on shared purpose and genuine partnership. 3 weeks into their new life, Sarah found Marcus on the apartment's small balcony late one night, looking out at the city lights. Any regrets? She asked softly, joining him. The opposite, Marcus replied, pulling her close. I never knew I could feel so complete. You and Emma have given my life meaning beyond anything I've accomplished professionally. Sarah leaned into his chest, finally allowing herself to believe in happiness again. I love you, Marcus Wellington. I love you too, Sarah Rodriguez, both of you. Oosh, but as they stood there planning their future together, neither noticed the figure watching their building from across the street or the photos being taken with a telephoto lens. Diego Martinez had been patient, gathering information, learning their routines, and was ready to make his move. Do you believe in the power of small acts of kindness? Share in the comments a time when you helped someone or were helped by a stranger. These stories can inspire others. 2 months into their new life together, Sarah realized she hadn't looked over her shoulder in weeks. The constant fear that had defined her existence for 2 years was finally beginning to fade. Emma was flourishing at Riverside Elementary, making friends and excelling in her studies. Sarah had proven invaluable at Marcus's company, earning respect from colleagues who initially wondered about the boss's mysterious new hire. But it was the quiet evening moments that meant the most. One Friday night, after Emma had fallen asleep during a movie in the living room, Sarah and Marcus found themselves alone together, truly alone for the first time since they'd reconnected. The apartment was peaceful, city lights twinkling through the windows, and suddenly, the 15 years between their past and present seemed to dissolve. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if we'd never lost touch? Sarah asked, curled against Marcus on the couch. Marcus stroked her hair gently. Every day. But maybe we needed to live those other lives to appreciate this one, to become the people we needed to be for Emma. Sarah looked up at him. I never stopped loving you completely, you know. Even when I tried to move on, even when I married Diego, part of my heart was always waiting for you to come back. Marcus held her face in his hands, careful of the faded bruise that was finally healing. "I compared every woman I dated to you. No one ever measured up because no one was you." When they kissed, it felt like coming home after a long, difficult journey. Not the desperate passion of teenagers, but the deep, certain love of two people who had found their way back to each other through pain and time. "I want to marry you," Marcus whispered against her lips. "I want to adopt Emma. I want us to be a real family, legally and officially." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "Yes," she breathed. "Yes to all of it." Emma stirred on the couch, her eyes opening to see them embracing. Instead of being startled, she smiled sleepily. "Are you kissing like in the princess movies?" she asked innocently. Sarah and Marcus laughed, making room for Emma between them. "Maybe a little bit," Sarah admitted. Emma clapped her hands. "Does this mean we're going to be a real family? Like forever?" "Forever," Marcus confirmed, lifting Emma into his lap. "If that's what you want." "It's what I wished for every night when I sold flowers," Emma said seriously. "I wished for a nice dad who would love me and Mom and keep us safe." The three of them sat together in the soft lamplight, planning their future. They talked about wedding ideas. Emma insisted she needed a sparkly dress as flower girl. They discussed moving to a house with a yard where Emma could have a dog. Marcus promised to teach Emma to ride a bike and take family trips to places she'd only seen in books. For the first time in years, Sarah allowed herself to dream beyond mere survival. Later that night, after tucking Emma into her own bed in her own room, Sarah and Marcus stood in the hallway holding hands. "I keep waiting for something to go wrong," Sarah admitted. "This feels too perfect to last." Marcus pulled her close. "Nothing's going to happen to us. We're safe now. We're together now. That's all that matters." But as they talked about their future, neither noticed the shadow that had been following Emma from school that week, or the fact that their building's security cameras had been mysteriously disabled that afternoon. Diego Martinez had spent months planning his return, and tomorrow he would make his presence known in a way that would shatter their new and perfect world. Spring arrived with a burst of cherry blossoms and warm sunshine, and with it came the happiest period of Sarah's adult life. Marcus had officially proposed with a simple but elegant ring during a quiet dinner at Wellington's, with Emma as their enthusiastic witness. The little girl had insisted on helping choose the ring, declaring it sparkly enough for a real princess. Wedding planning became a joyful family affair. Emma drew countless pictures of dress designs for Sarah, while Marcus handled venue and catering arrangements. They decided on a small ceremony in the restaurant's private garden, followed by a reception for close friends and family. Sarah had enrolled in weekend classes to complete her education degree, something she had abandoned years ago when Diego convinced her it was a waste of time. Marcus not only supported her studies, but helped with Emma when Sarah needed to focus on schoolwork. "Look what I made at school." Emma burst through the apartment door one Tuesday afternoon, waving a Mother's Day card she had made. "It's for you, Mom. But I made one for Mr. Marcus too, because he takes care of us like a real dad." Marcus felt his heart swell when Emma handed him a card decorated with glitter hearts and the words, "My new dad," written in careful 7-year-old handwriting. But as perfect as their life seemed, small, disturbing details began to appear. Sarah first noticed the strange car while walking Emma home from school. A dark blue sedan that seemed to turn when they turned, slow down when they slowed down. She told herself she was being paranoid, that Diego couldn't have found them. Then came the calls to the apartment's landline, rings with no one on the other end when she answered. Marcus suggested they were probably telemarketers, but Sarah's instincts said otherwise. One evening, while grocery shopping with Emma, Sarah felt eyes on her. She turned to see a man in a baseball cap quickly look away and disappear around the corner. Her blood ran cold. Something about his posture, his build, seemed familiar. "Mom, you're squeezing my hand too tight," Emma complained. Sarah realized she had grabbed Emma's hand in panic. "Sorry, sweetheart, let's finish shopping and go home." That weekend, Marcus surprised them with tickets to the zoo. While watching Emma feed the giraffes, Sarah finally voiced her concerns. "Marcus, I think someone's been watching us," she said quietly. Marcus immediately became alert. "What do you mean?" Sarah described the car, the calls, the feeling of being followed. "I know it sounds like paranoia, but after 2 years of running, you develop instincts about these things." Marcus put his arm around her protectively. "We'll hire private security, increase the building's safety measures, whatever it takes." "You don't understand," Sarah whispered, watching Emma laugh as a peacock displayed its feathers. "If Diego found us, he won't just go away. He'll want to hurt us for disappearing. He'll want to hurt you for taking what he considers his." At that exact moment, Sarah's phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "Enjoying your new family? We need to talk." Sarah's face went white as she read the message. Her hands began trembling so violently that Marcus had to take her phone. "It's him," she whispered. "He found us." Across the zoo, hidden behind a cotton candy stand, Diego Martinez watched them through binoculars, smiling coldly. He had spent 3 months learning their routines, photographing their building, researching Marcus Wellington's business empire. Now it was time to remind Sarah who really owned her. Despite her growing fears, Sarah made a conscious decision to protect the happiness they had built together. She deleted the threatening message before Marcus could read it completely and forced herself to smile for Emma's sake. Maybe she was wrong. Maybe it was just a cruel prank. The following weeks became the happiest period of Sarah's entire life, and she clung to every moment with desperate joy. Marcus surprised Emma with a bright pink bicycle for her 8th birthday, complete with training wheels and a basket for her stuffed animals. He spent hours at the park running alongside her as she learned to pedal, his laughter mixing with hers when she finally rode alone. "Look, Mom, I'm flying!" Emma shouted, her face radiant with accomplishment. Sarah watched from a park bench, tears of happiness streaming down her face. This was the childhood she had always dreamed of giving Emma. Safe, joyful, full of love and encouragement. On weekends, Marcus took them to his private country club, where he taught Emma to swim in the pool. Sarah floated beside them, marveled at how naturally Marcus had assumed the role of father. He was patient with Emma's fears, celebrated her small victories, and never raised his voice, even when she splashed water in his face. "Mr. Marcus," Emma said one afternoon, holding onto the pool's edge, "when you marry Mom, will I call you Dad?" Marcus looked to Sarah, who nodded with tears in her eyes. "If you want to, sweetheart, it would be an honor." Emma's smile could have powered the entire city. They spent evenings planning their small wedding ceremony. Emma insisted on wearing a purple dress to match the flowers she would help arrange. Marcus showed photos of Wellington's garden space transformed with twinkling lights and white chairs arranged in a circle. "Just 50 people, Sarah said, reviewing her guest list. "I wanted it intimate, meaningful." "Perfect," Marcus agreed. "Just the people who matter most." Emma had filled their refrigerator with drawings of their new family. Stick figures of the 3 of them holding hands, living in a house with a big yard and a golden retriever named Sunny. "When we move to our house, can we get the puppy?" Emma asked during dinner one night. Marcus and Sarah exchanged glances. They had been discussing buying a house together, somewhere with space for Emma to run and play. "Soon," Marcus promised. "Very soon." One evening, while Emma practiced piano on the small keyboard Marcus had bought for her, Sarah found Marcus on the balcony, looking out at the city with a peaceful expression. "Penny for your thoughts?" she asked, wrapping her arms around him from behind. "I was thinking about my mother," Marcus said. "How proud she would be to see us together. She always said family wasn't about blood. It was about who you choose to love and protect." Sarah kissed his shoulder. "She would have loved Emma. She would have loved both of you," Marcus said, turning to face her. "Sarah, I want to start adoption proceedings for Emma. I want her to be legally mine, too." Sarah's heart swelled. She would love that. She's been practicing writing Emma Wellington in her notebook. As they stood together planning their future, neither noticed the figure watching from the parking lot below, or the fact that the building's new security guard had been paid to look the other way. The next afternoon, While Marcus was at work and Emma at school, Sarah came home to find her apartment door slightly ajar. Her blood turned to ice. She pushed the door open slowly and found Diego Martinez sitting on her couch, leafing through Emma's school photos as if he owned the place. "Hello, Sarah," he said with a cold smile. "Miss me?" Sarah's blood turned to ice as she stared at Diego Martinez sitting casually on her couch, flipping through Emma's school photos as if he belonged there. 3 years had hardened him. His face was leaner, his eyes colder, and a jagged scar ran from his left ear to his jaw. Prison tattoos covered his forearms, and she could see the outline of something metallic in his jacket pocket. "Hello, Sarah," he said with a predatory smile. "Miss me?" Folks, the story is getting intense. If you're anxious to know what happens, hit the like button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the continuation. Sarah remained frozen in the doorway, her keys still in her trembling hand. "How did you get in here? This building has security. Money talks, sweetheart. Amazing how cooperative people become for the right price." Diego stood slowly, deliberately. "Nice place. Much better than that hole you were living in before. Looks like you scored yourself a real sugar daddy." "Get out of here," Sarah whispered, trying to keep her voice steady. "Emma will be home from school soon." "Emma." Diego picked up one of his daughter's drawings from the coffee table. A happy family picture with Mom, Dad, Marcus, and me written in purple crayon. My daughter seems to have forgotten she already has a father. "Guys, the villain has finally appeared. What do you think will happen to Emma? Comment your theories, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to follow the end of this emotional story. You gave up that right when you chose drugs and violence over your family. Diego's expression darkened. "I never gave up anything. You stole my daughter from me, turned her against me, fed her lies." Sarah took a step back. "Emma was terrified of you. You used to scream at her when she cried. Called her worthless." "Shut up." Diego slammed his fist on the coffee table, making Emma's art supplies jump. "I spent 3 years thinking about what you took from me. 3 years planning how to get it back. What do you want, Diego?" He walked closer, and Sarah smelled the familiar scent of alcohol and cigarettes that used to turn her stomach. "I want what's mine. My daughter. My wife. I'm not your wife anymore. I filed for divorce 2 years ago." Diego laughed bitterly. "Papers don't mean anything to me, Sarah. You belong to me. Always have." He pulled out his phone and showed photos, images of her and Marcus at the zoo, at the park, taking Emma to school. "I've been watching you play house with your rich boyfriend. Very touching. But playtime's over." Sarah's mind raced, calculating how much time she had before Emma's school bus arrived. "What do you want?" $100,000, Diego said matter-of-factly. "Cash. Your boyfriend has that. Pocket change for a guy like him. I can't ask Marcus for that kind of money. Then find another way. Steal it, I don't care." Diego moved closer, backing her against the wall. "You have 48 hours. And if I can't get it?" Diego's smile was pure evil. "Then I take Emma tonight, straight from her fancy private school. I have friends in Mexico who'd love to help a father reunite with his daughter. By the time you find us, she'll be so far away you'll never see her again." Sarah's knees nearly buckled. "You can't. She's just a child. She's my child." Diego grabbed Sarah's arm, his grip bruising. "And if your boyfriend tries to play hero, well, accidents happen. Rich guys fall downstairs all the time." The sound of the school bus braking outside made them both freeze. "Emma's here," Sarah breathed. Diego released her arm and adjusted his jacket. "Remember, 48 hours, $100,000. If you call the police, if you tell your boyfriend, if you try to run again, I'll make Emma pay the price." He walked to the balcony door, which Sarah now realized was how he had entered. "Oh, and Sarah, next time we meet, we're going to discuss you coming home where you belong. All 3 of us, like a real family." As Emma's voice echoed in the hallway outside, Diego disappeared over the balcony, leaving Sarah trembling uncontrollably, staring at the violated sanctuary that had been her safe home just minutes before. When Emma burst through the door with her backpack and bright smile, Sarah somehow managed to compose herself enough to appear normal, But inside, she was already planning how to get $100,000 without destroying the only real happiness she had ever known. For 24 hours, Sarah lived in terror, jumping at every sound, checking locks obsessively, and struggling to appear normal around Emma and Marcus. She considered taking her savings and running, but Diego's threats about following them anywhere made escape seem impossible. Finally, when Marcus noticed her hands shaking during dinner and Emma asked why Mom looked so sad, Sarah broke down and told Marcus everything. "He was in our apartment," she sobbed, "touching Emma's things, threatening to take her to Mexico where we'd never find her." Marcus went very quiet, his jaw tightening with controlled anger. "Why didn't you tell me immediately? He said he'd hurt Emma if I involved you, said he'd hurt you too." Marcus pulled Sarah into his arms, his voice deadly calm. "He's not going to touch either of you. I promise that." The next morning, Marcus made arrangements for Sarah and Emma to stay at his penthouse with his personal security team while he dealt with Diego. He also hired 2 additional bodyguards and informed the school not to allow anyone except Sarah or himself to pick up Emma. "I'm going to end this," Marcus told Sarah as he prepared to leave. "Today. Marcus, please be careful. Diego isn't just violent, he's desperate. Desperate people do unpredictable things." Marcus had arranged to meet Diego in a shopping center parking lot, public enough to discourage violence, private enough to speak freely. When he arrived, Diego was already there, leaning against a beat-up pickup truck, smoking a cigarette. Marcus expected to feel intimidated meeting Sarah's ex-husband, but looking at Diego now, scruffy, bearded, thin from drug use, wearing clothes that reeked of desperation, he felt only disgust. "You must be the famous Marcus Wellington," Diego said with mocking courtesy. "Sarah's rich daddy." "I'm the man who loves Sarah and Emma," Marcus replied evenly, "and the man who's going to make you disappear from their lives permanently." Diego laughed. "With what? Money? Think you can buy me off?" $100,000 like you demanded, but with conditions." Marcus pulled out a legal document. "You sign away all parental rights to Emma. Agree to never contact Sarah or Emma again. Disappear completely." Diego pretended to consider, then smiled coldly. "You know what? I changed my mind. $100,000 isn't enough anymore. I want $500,000. Marcus felt his control slipping. "The deal was $100. "The deal is whatever I say it is." Diego's voice rose. "You rich boys think everything has a price, but some things can't be bought. Sarah belongs to me. She's mine, always will be mine." Marcus stepped closer, his voice deadly quiet. "Sarah belongs to herself. Emma deserves a father who protects her, not one who terrorizes her. I'm offering enough money for you to start over somewhere else. Take it." Diego flicked his cigarette at Marcus's feet. "Or what? You'll call the cops? Go ahead. By the time they sort things out, Emma will have been gone a long time. I have friends who specialize in making people disappear." "You're making a mistake," Marcus warned. "No, you're making the mistake. Think because you have money, you can steal my family. But I know where Emma goes to school, where you work, where Sarah shops. I can get to any of you anytime." Marcus pulled out his phone and showed Diego something that made the other man's face pale. "Actually, I've been recording this entire conversation, making threats against a minor, extortion, violating restraining orders. That's enough to put you away for years." Diego's hand moved to his jacket pocket. "You're smarter than I thought, but not smart enough." Before Marcus could react, Diego had pulled a knife. "Delete that recording, now." Marcus realized with growing dread that reasoning with Diego was impossible. The man wasn't just desperate for money, he was obsessed with controlling Sarah, willing to destroy anyone who got in his way. When Diego lunged with the knife, Marcus understood that this confrontation wouldn't end with negotiations or legal documents. It would end with one of them walking away and the other not. The confrontation in the parking lot ended when shopping center security guards approached, drawn by Diego's raised voice. Diego quickly pocketed the knife and backed away, but not before hissing to Marcus, "This isn't over, not even close." Marcus immediately called the police and filed a formal report, providing the recording of Diego's threats. Detective Sarah Chen assured him they would issue an arrest warrant, but warned that Diego had likely already gone into hiding. "Men like this don't give up easily," Detective Chen explained. "He sees his ex-wife and daughter as possessions, not people. I recommend maintaining maximum security until we have him in custody." For the next 48 hours, Marcus, Sarah, and Emma lived in the penthouse under constant protection. Emma didn't fully understand why she couldn't go to school or the park, but she sensed the adults' fear and stayed close to Sarah. On Thursday morning, Sarah had to go to the office for an important client meeting that couldn't be postponed. Marcus wanted to cancel it, but Sarah insisted that hiding forever wasn't living. "I'll take the security team with me," she promised. "Emma will be safe here with you and the guards." But that afternoon, Emma's private school called the penthouse in a panic. "Mr. Wellington, this is Principal Anderson. A man claiming to be Emma's father picked her up an hour ago. He had official custody documents and said there was a family emergency. We tried calling Sarah, but her phone went straight to voicemail." Marcus felt the world tilt beneath his feet. What did this man look like? Hispanic, medium height, dark hair. He knew Emma's full name, her teacher's name, even her birthday. Emma seemed to recognize him, but appeared frightened. Marcus was already grabbing his keys. "Call the police immediately. This is kidnapping." Or Sarah's screams echoed through the penthouse when Marcus called with the news. "He has my baby! Oh God, Marcus, he has Emma!" Within hours, the FBI was involved. Diego had violated federal kidnapping laws by taking Emma across state lines. Security footage showed him heading toward the highway in a stolen van. Agent Roberts, the lead investigator, spread Emma's photo to all law enforcement agencies in the region. "The good news is Diego wants money, not to hurt Emma," Agent Roberts told the frantic parents. "He'll make contact soon with demands." The call came at midnight. Diego's voice was cold and triumphant. "Missing something? Please." Sarah sobbed into the phone. "Don't hurt her, she's just a child. She's my child, and she's staying with me until you come home where you belong." Marcus took the phone. "What do you want?" $500,000 in cash. "No police, no FBI, no tricks. You have 12 hours. "Let me talk to Emma. I need to know she's okay." After a pause, Emma's trembling voice came through the speaker. "Mr. Marcus, I want to go home. I want my mommy. We're coming to get you, sweetheart. Be brave for us, okay?" Diego came back on the phone. "Warehouse District, Pier 47. Come alone, Sarah. Bring the money. If I see anyone else, if I smell cops, you'll never see her again." The line went dead. Sarah collapsed in Marcus's arms, shaking uncontrollably. "He's going to kill her. I know him. When he gets angry enough, he doesn't think straight." Marcus held her tight, his own heart breaking. "We're going to get her back, whatever it takes." But as the FBI prepared their response plan, none of them knew that Diego had already moved Emma to a second location, an abandoned warehouse where he planned to disappear with her forever, leaving Sarah and Marcus to suffer the way he had suffered. The clock was ticking, and Emma was running out of time. The FBI had traced Diego's cell phone to the warehouse district, but when they arrived at Pier 47, they found only an empty building and a mocking note. "Wrong place. She's mine now." For 6 agonizing hours, Sarah and Marcus waited while authorities searched every abandoned building within a 20-mile radius. Sarah hadn't stopped crying, blaming herself for every decision that had led to this moment. "I should have run farther," she whispered. "Should have changed our names, moved to another country. I put Emma in danger trying to build a normal life." Marcus took her hands firmly. "Look at me, Sarah. This is not your fault. Diego made these choices. We're going to find her." The breakthrough came from an unexpected source, Emma herself. At the second warehouse, while Diego was distracted counting ransom money he never collected, Emma remembered Marcus teaching her to be brave and smart. She quietly used Diego's dropped phone to call the emergency number Marcus had made her memorize. 911, what's your emergency? "This is Emma Wellington," she whispered into the phone, using Marcus's last name like he had taught her. "The bad man took me. I'm scared." The 911 operator kept Emma on the line while tracing the call. "Can you tell me what you see around you, sweetheart?" "Big windows, water outside, a sign that says Riverside Warehouse." Emma's voice was barely audible. "He has a gun. He keeps saying Mom has to come back to him forever." Within minutes, the SWAT team surrounded the Riverside storage facility. Diego, realizing he was trapped, became increasingly erratic and dangerous. "They followed you!" he screamed at Emma, waving his gun wildly. "You little brat, you ruined everything!" But Emma had learned courage from watching Sarah survive impossible situations and strength from Marcus's patient love. "My mom doesn't belong to you," she said with 7-year-old defiance. "My real dad is coming to get me." Diego raised his hand to strike her, but at that moment the warehouse door exploded open. Marcus had insisted on joining the rescue team despite FBI protests. When he saw Diego threatening Emma, something primal took over. He charged, tackling Diego to the ground before the man could react. "Emma, run to the police!" Marcus shouted as he wrestled with Diego for the gun. Emma ran toward the SWAT officers while Marcus and Diego fought desperately. The gun fired once, then twice, bullets ricocheting off the concrete walls. Finally, Marcus managed to take the weapon, pinning Diego until officers could arrest him. "It's over," Marcus gasped, holding the sobbing, trembling little girl as Sarah burst through the police cordon. "It's over, sweetheart. You're safe." 6 months later, Sarah Martinez Wellington adjusted her white dress one last time as she looked at herself in the mirror of Wellington's private dining room. Today, she was marrying the man who had saved not just her life, but her daughter's life and her faith in the future. Emma, now 8 years old and legally Emma Wellington, wore a purple dress covered in sequins and carried a bouquet of white roses. She had been seeing a child therapist to process her trauma, but her resilience amazed everyone who knew her. "Ready, Mom?" Emma asked, adjusting Sarah's veil. "Ready, sweetheart." The ceremony took place in Wellington's garden, exactly as they had planned months ago. 50 close friends and colleagues watched Marcus and Sarah exchange vows that included promises not only to each other, but to Emma. "I promise to love you both fiercely," Marcus said, tears in his eyes. "To protect this family with everything I have, to be the father and husband you both deserve." Sarah's vows were simpler. "You gave us hope when we had none. You gave us safety when we were afraid. You gave us love when we thought we weren't worthy of it. I promise to spend my life showing you that you chose well." During the reception, Emma climbed onto a chair to make her own speech. "Mr. Marcus saved us when we were hungry and scared. Now, he's my real dad forever. He taught me that families aren't just the people you're born with. They're the people who choose to love you every day." There wasn't a dry eye in the room. Diego Martinez was sentenced to 15 years in prison for kidnapping, extortion, and weapons charges. The judge noted that his complete lack of remorse made him a continued danger to society. Marcus and Sarah honeymooned in Italy, while Emma stayed with Marcus's trusted business partner and his wife. When they returned, they moved to a beautiful house with a large yard where Emma could play safely. Sarah completed her education degree and now runs a program for domestic violence survivors through the Wellington Foundation. Marcus stepped back from daily business operations to spend more time with his family. Every night they eat dinner together. Every weekend they visit parks and museums. Every night, Marcus reads Emma a bedtime story while Sarah watches from the doorway, still amazed that this is her life. The little girl who once sold wilted flowers outside a restaurant now helps other children through the foundation, showing that kindness exists, that love can heal, and that sometimes angels really do appear when you need them most. And Marcus learned that true wealth isn't measured in bank accounts or businesses. It's measured in the laughter of a little girl who calls you dad, and the love of a woman who chose to trust you with her broken heart. Their family was born from a small act of kindness, but grew through countless daily choices to love, protect, and believe in each other. Some fairy tales really do come true. They just don't always begin with once upon a time. Sometimes they begin with a hungry child, a kind heart, and the courage to say, You belong here too. To the end. This story teaches us that true wealth lies in compassion, that love can overcome any obstacle, and that sometimes the most casual encounters can change our lives forever. Marcus's kindness toward an unknown little girl not only saved a family, but gave him the greatest treasure of all, true love and a united family.